The Long Island medium has given Theresa Caputo's ex-husband, Larry Caputo, a notice from the bank to vacate the house because he owed a lot of money to the bank and failed to repay it on time. Larry Caputo sat at his kitchen table, the notice from the bank trembling in his hands. His once proud home, the place he had built a life in, was no longer his. He had known this moment was coming, but denial had kept him from facing the truth. The debts had piled up, and now the bank had finally lost patience. He had to vacate the house. It had all unraveled so quickly. After his divorce from Theresa Caputo, Larry had tried to rebuild his life, moving across the country to start fresh. However, poor financial decisions, coupled with failed business ventures, had drained his savings. His once thriving ventures now lay in ruins, and the weight of his financial obligations became too much to bear. Theresa had tried to warn him, but he had refused to listen. Their divorce had already left their relationship strained, and he was too proud to ask for help. Now, as he sat in his nearly empty home, reality hit him with full force. The bank had been patient, offering extensions and negotiations, but Larry had failed to make the necessary payments. The final notice had arrived, giving him only a few weeks to vacate the premises. He took a deep breath and picked up his phone. He hesitated before dialing Theresa's number. Would she even take his call? He wasn't sure, but he had no one else to turn to. His children had distanced themselves, disappointed by his choices, and his friends had long disappeared when the money dried up. Theresa answered after a few rings. Her voice was cautious but not unkind. "Larry?" "I got the notice," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have nowhere to go." There was a pause. He could hear the sound of her breathing on the other end, as if she was contemplating her response. Finally, she sighed. "You should have seen this coming." "I know," he said. "I was stubborn." Another silence stretched between them before Theresa spoke again. "I can't fix this for you, Larry, but maybe we can figure something out." It wasn't a promise, but it was something. For the first time in months, Larry felt a glimmer of hope. He wasn't sure what the future held, but he knew one thing: he couldn't run from his mistakes any longer. It was time to face them head-on, no matter how painful it would be. However, Theresa's day begins early, long before she steps onto the stage for a live event or a reading session. She spends her mornings in meditation, a practice that helps her tune in to the energies around her. "I have to ground myself," she once shared in an interview. "If my energy is off, I can't do what I do." Before stepping out to meet her audience, she takes a moment to pray and ask for guidance from the spirits. Her dressing room is filled with candles, crystals, and photos of her loved ones, elements that bring her comfort and connection. Though she's a seasoned performer, even Theresa gets nervous before a big event. Backstage, she paces the room, clutching her signature notepad, where she jots down any spirit messages that come to her before the show starts. Crew members say she often gasps mid-conversation, sensing a presence trying to make contact. "It happens all the time," says a longtime staff member. "She'll stop and say, 'Hold on, someone's here,' and within minutes, she's delivering a message that changes someone's life." While Theresa's readings bring comfort to countless families, it's not always easy for her. She carries the emotional weight of the stories she hears and the grief she encounters daily. After a show, she often retreats to her hotel room in silence, needing time to decompress. "People see the glitz and the glamour, but they don't see the exhaustion," she admits. Speaking to spirit is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. In recent years, Theresa has faced personal hardships, including her divorce from Larry Caputo, her daughter Victoria's challenges, and various family conflicts. These struggles have played out in the public eye, but she remains strong. Despite stepping away from television for a while, she's hinted at returning with a new project, one that will be even more personal and raw. As Theresa continues her journey, fans eagerly await what's next. Whether it's a new show, a book, or another live tour, one thing is certain: her connection to the spirit world remains as powerful as ever. Backstage, when asked if she'll ever retire, she simply smiles and says, "As long as spirit keeps talking, I'll keep listening." However, it was a cool autumn evening in Long Island, and Theresa was preparing for a private reading. The client, Lisa, had been struggling with unresolved grief since losing her brother in a tragic accident. As soon as Lisa entered the room, Theresa felt a powerful energy shift. "He's here," Theresa said, her signature blonde hair swaying as she turned to face Lisa. "Your brother, he's making me feel like he left suddenly, without saying goodbye." Lisa gasped, gripping the arms of her chair. "Yes, he died in a car crash. I never got to tell him how much I loved him." Theresa nodded, closing her eyes. "He's showing me a necklace. Something silver?" Tears welled in Lisa's eyes as she pulled out a locket from under her sweater. "He gave this to me on my birthday." A warm smile spread across Theresa's face. "He wants you to know he's still with you. Every time you touch that necklace, that's his way of reminding you he loves you too." Lisa exhaled a shaky breath, relief washing over her. She had walked in carrying the weight of loss, but she left with something far greater, a connection that transcended death. Theresa Caputo's life has been a roller coaster of public scrutiny, family struggles, and deeply moving spiritual encounters. Whether through her hit show Long Island Medium or private sessions, her work continues to inspire believers and skeptics alike. With an unwavering faith in her conduit between worlds, bringing messages, healing, and, indeed, a crapload of spirit to those who seek closure. However, Theresa built her career by bringing messages from the beyond to grieving families. Her reality show made her a household name, and millions admired her ability to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. However, while she helped others find closure, her own life was slowly unraveling. Her marriage to Larry Caputo ended in divorce, and though they tried to remain amicable, their relationship grew bitter over time. Family disputes, financial struggles, and public scandals kept her in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. But nothing could have prepared her for the series of tragedies that would follow. Legal battles and family conflicts. Theresa's once close-knit family started falling apart. She fought multiple legal battles with her ex-husband Larry over their former home. Her children, Victoria and Larry Jr., faced their own struggles. Victoria's marriage ended in divorce, and Larry Jr. found himself entangled in financial debt and legal troubles. Health scares and personal loss. As if emotional stress wasn't enough, Theresa recently suffered a severe car accident, leaving her injured and vulnerable. Shortly after, her home in Los Angeles was destroyed in a fire, taking with it years of memories and possessions. But the worst news came when she was diagnosed with cancer, a battle that now threatens her life. The weight of these tragedies took a toll on Theresa. Once known for her bubbly personality and optimism, she grew distant. She lashed out in public, even getting into heated altercations with her ex-husband. She had always been the strong one in her family, the one everyone relied on, but now she was struggling to keep herself together. As she fights for her life, Theresa faces the harsh reality that her fame and spiritual gifts cannot protect her from tragedy. Her world, once filled with bright lights and televised moments of joy, has become a dark and uncertain place. And now, as she lies in a hospital bed, she wonders if she will ever find the peace she has helped so many others seek. Her story is a reminder that even those who seem to have it all can suffer immense loss. The Long Island medium may have spent her life talking to the dead, but now she must confront her own mortality and the painful reality that no one, not even a medium, can predict the twists of fate. However, Theresa Caputo initially built her career by holding in-person sessions where she would relay messages from the spirit world. However, as technology evolved, she embraced virtual readings, making her services more accessible. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she transitioned into online readings, connecting with clients over Zoom, FaceTime, and other digital platforms. This shift allowed her to expand her reach beyond Long Island, offering guidance to people from different parts of the world. Despite initial skepticism, many of her clients reported experiencing the same emotional and spiritual impact as they would in a face-to-face session. One evening, Theresa Caputo sat in her cozy home, preparing for a virtual reading. The client, Melissa, had booked an online session after experiencing strange occurrences in her house: lights flickering, objects moving, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. As soon as the call connected, Theresa felt an intense energy. "Melissa," she said, "I'm sensing a male presence, someone very close to you." Melissa gasped, "My father. He passed away last year." Theresa continued, "He's showing me a small gold watch. Does this mean anything to you?" Tears welled up in Melissa's eyes. "Yes, he had a gold watch he wore every day. It disappeared after his passing, and we never found it." Theresa smiled, nodding. "He's saying it's in a small wooden box in your attic. He wants you to have it. Also, he's mentioning the flickering lights. That's him trying to get your attention." Melissa was in shock. After the session ended, she rushed to her attic and searched. To her astonishment, she found a small wooden box tucked behind some old belongings. Inside was her father's gold watch, just as Theresa had described. That reading forever changed Melissa's belief in the afterlife and reaffirmed Theresa's ability to connect with spirits, even through a computer screen. Electronic readings have transformed the way spiritual connections are made. While some remain skeptical, Theresa Caputo's successful virtual sessions prove that the spiritual realm transcends physical boundaries. Whether in person or online, her gift continues to bring comfort to those seeking closure and guidance. However, Theresa sat quietly at her kitchen table, sipping her morning coffee. The house felt eerily silent, a contrast to the usual chaotic energy that filled it when her children were younger. Victoria, her daughter, had been struggling in her personal life, facing a difficult divorce and the overwhelming responsibility of motherhood. Her son, Larry Jr., had been making choices that worried her deeply, including financial troubles and relationship issues. As a mother, she longed to reach out and fix everything. But even with her extraordinary gift, the uncertainty of her children's future was something she couldn't predict with complete clarity. That was the hardest part, being able to connect with spirits yet feeling powerless to fully guide her own living children. One evening, Theresa received an unexpected sign. As she sat in her meditation room, she felt an overwhelming presence, a sensation she recognized well. It was her own late grandmother, a woman who had raised her with wisdom and strength. Theresa closed her eyes and allowed the presence to speak through her. "Theresa, you've always known things before they happen. But the greatest power isn't in knowing, it's in trusting. Let your children walk their paths. Be there, but don't try to hold them too tightly." Tears welled in her eyes. It was a message she needed to hear. She had been so desperate to know every detail of her children's lives, to shield them from mistakes and pain, but she realized that true love meant trusting them to find their way. The next morning, instead of bombarding Victoria with questions about her struggles, she simply called and said, "I love you. I'm here when you need me." She sent a similar message to Larry Jr., reminding him that he wasn't alone. In that moment, Theresa understood that being a mother wasn't about knowing everything. It was about being a steady presence, no matter what came next. Hello lovely viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Mina. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.